So in John chapter 10, Jesus totally sells out to this idea, not only illustratively, but in actuality, and goes all shepherd on us. It's him selling out to this concept. And he gives a whole chapter to talk this way. And I think it's really important and vital for us to see that this is not just an illustration. Jesus is really pinpointing that, listen, we need to move out of cowboy herd mentality towards relationships and begin this process of tending through serving, cherishing, through sacrificing for the relationships around us. So, speaking about the shepherd, the occupation of the shepherd, in John 10, starting in verse 7, he says this: "The sheep hears the shepherd's voice, and he calls his own sheep by name, and he leads them out." Now, this should be hope for everyone. And I found hope in this, is because the sheep hear the shepherd's voice. Now, it doesn't say that the sheep hear the parent's voice, or their father's voice, or their mother's voice, or whoever's in charge's voice. It says that the sheep hear the shepherd's voice. And the reason why this is so important is that sheep hear the tending voice. Is that we as people will hear the voice that is tending to us. We may not always hear the voice of authority, the voice of who's in charge. We may be able to just block that out, or we may rebel against that. But it says that the sheep will hear the shepherd's voice. And Jesus here is not talking about him as a shepherd. He's talking about the occupation of the shepherd. Is that here's a principle, an axiom: sheep hear the voice of their shepherd. So the thing is, if you want your kids to hear you, if you want your spouse to hear you, if you want valued relationships to hear you speaking into them again, and you want to restore them, then what needs to happen? You need to become a shepherd. And it's almost like a guarantee that if you begin the tending work of serving and sacrifice for your relationships, it says they will hear it. So for some of us, we're hearing the message from God, and it's this: get back to it, and they will hear it. It's not over. Get back to the work of doing a shepherd. Get back to doing what you were supposed to do in your marriage as a husband and as a wife. Tend to that relationship. Get back to doing what you're supposed to do as a parent and raising children. Get back to the shepherding part of it, because your sheep will hear that. They may not hear you as a parent, but they will hear you. They will hear the tending voice of serving and sacrifice being spoken into their lives. So if you're 75 years old here, and you know you have a 40 or 50-year-old son out there that hates your guts, this should be the voice of hope. Maybe you're in a marriage relationship, you're 30 years into it, and for lack of a better definition, the word filleted, that means that every bit of meat and passion and beauty and life has been cut from it, and all you're left is the bone of commitment, the skull, and that's all you have left. This should be speaking hope to you, because if we'll get back to tending, that we'll begin to guide our sheep, begin to guide the relationships that we cherish back to where they're supposed to be.